How is his sword that long? Okay, I know you're trying to big this whole thing, but Jesus Christ, you're just showing off at this point. Ooh, but we got an impact strike. Oh, he got that nuke strike in him. Okay. I still love the fact that he actually told his party about all his original spells, and they still said, go f yourself. Now, they're not going to show it, but this man gets a very nice job at the end of all this. Let's just put it like that. There's going to be a lot of willing mouths. The boys and the girls. They're going to be like, thank you, Orun. So had they not been playing, they would have died that day. That makes the betrayal of what happened to him so much sadder, because it's like, bro, you guys have been through everything together. How could you do that to my boy? Jack of all trades. Party of none. You're too young, so keep that mouth closed. There's adults in the room that can do it for you, okay? Bro, his entire thing is like, that's how a warrior does it. That's how an enchanter does it. Oh my god, that's how a man does it. I need to be like him. Yo, if anyone bitches about the production, just know they are deeply unserious and they just refuse to like 3D. I love that Orun unironically ended up with a BBC sword. I didn't think he had it in him. No, I'll be honest. The whole time, thought the BBC was coming from the dragon, but turns out Orun all along had it in him. Just got longer and longer the more we watch. Now, of course, I'm talking about an actual sword. Get your minds out of the gutter. I gotta be real, though. I expected this to be a fun episode. I mean, I'll admit I forgot that technically there was a time discrepancy from when the hero party was running to us being in the cave. But even then, I still didn't think it was going to be this good of an episode, nor did I expect them to drop more backstory of Orun and the hero. Makes it all the more painful what happened, but to see that determination and to finally understand where the name was going this whole time, Jack of all trades, Party of none. It's easy to think the Party of none is because he's been stabbed in the back so much, but in fact, no, it's just he needs no party. He really will be every role, and I think this kill does represent that should he continue to explore his powers, he absolutely will be a one-man army. And I think similar to that of the Heroes Party when they changed how adventuring was seen in the general public's eye of how hero party formation should be, I think Orun is going to do the same thing where people are going to start striving to be a jack of all trades, realizing the type of insane bullshit that he's able to accomplish. Now, you know what to do. If you got this far in the video, make sure you slap that like, show your support, subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already, and you know what, Patreon, where you're going to catch those full, unfiltered live reactions in all their glory. And believe me, there's more BBC jokes where that comes from, so consider supporting if you still wish. It is why you get these videos on YouTube at all. I'll be honest though, I really thought this fight would have went differently. I didn't expect him to do it solo. I really thought it was going to be a case of he would have, you know, I thought some of the adults, at least number one Enchantress, right? But the idea of having them fearful and not being able to do anything, and when like they finally were trying to do something, he says, leave me alone, you're throwing off my mojo. I was like, oh, okay, you're really him. Such an interesting fight, and I think the thing I'm most excited about is how the hero party lives. Now, two of the members of the hero party, that bitch and that dick, you know who I'm talking about. If you don't, bless your heart. So what's gonna happen is it could be a couple things. Most likely now that the dragon's defeated, we all get teleported out of here, right? And everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck? Which in return could make the hero party walk in and be like, what the fuck? The dragon's dead. Could you imagine if now that the dragon's dead, those two douchebags cut off the dragon's head and bring it to the guildmaster being like, yep, we did it. Only for them to realize, in fact, there was an entire group of people who saw Orun solo that ship. Could you imagine the disrespect? Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. They'll probably leave just fine. But I'm really hoping something like that happens, because the one thing I was concerned about is that we were, well, I'm not saying concerned in the way that, man, it would have like ruined the show. It would have been the type of frustration that I thrust in my chair over, but it's enjoyable frustration. It's what we like to call a little hate fucking around here. Now, had she been involved in any way during this fight, the hero party would have heard of it and they would have justified, well, the only reason he cut through it is because he had the #1 enchanter on his party. She didn't do shit. And I'm actually glad for that, because now we get to see a generational crash out. They will find a way to lie. And as I've said multiple times, You know, up until like maybe 5 years ago, I used to think, how could anybody be so stupid? If logic's in front of you, facts are there, you can't deny the proof's in the pudding. And then the past like 5 or so years have proven that no, facts mean nothing to people. So they will find a way still. But I'm interested to see what they do, because that is fucking wonderful. Now here's the thing. It's very easy to freeze at probably 60, maybe even 70% of this fight. And you're like, oh man, it's very obviously 3D for the most part. Anyone who actually watches this fight in motion should not be bitching about it. There was maybe a singular shot that I thought to myself, that's a little weird looking 3D. The rest of it, I am so happy this fight was 3D. Like, yes, once again, very much a 3D model, but watching this man jump around a fucking room, create platforms out of his, like, way he makes, I forget how he explains it. It's like, it's not magic, it's not physical, but I'm making it manifest in this way, and I'm like, that's fucking cool. I feel like a kid again on Saturday morning. Watching him jump around and seeing both the dragon and him mostly in 3D for, like, there's a couple of shots sometimes where they're back to their 2D imagery, but it was just fucking amazing watching him because the effects and everything, it really did feel like a boss fight. Buddy's out here doing so much shit. He's doing effects that are 32 times his stats. So he's like, okay, so usually the way it works is as buff, you double your stats. But if you try to, like, layer those together, it will just reset the timer. So you can't go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 like he did, right? Because it would just reset. No, he can do that because he's, and I think the thing that I like about his bullshittery, which is how I'm going to explain this, he was in a party where the role he was given, he wasn't the best suited for it. Never was going to be, at least at face value. So he invented, and we know that's a thing in this world, he invented a lot of original spells and ideas that would allow him to compensate for his issues, which most people, similar, I think we could probably look at it like education, right? Think about all the gifted kids in early school who didn't really have to try. They just, every bit of work that the teachers gave the average student, they did in 2 seconds, and they were called gifted. And then when they actually got to later in high school or university or college, whatever, and they actually had to realize that they aren't as just, I know everything like I thought, they didn't know how to study, and in return, they just crash out for the most part. Versus the student who has to actually study the whole time because they're not just naturally a know-it-all. That's this man. I think a lot of these enchanters and swordsmen and the like, all they do is basically, well, I'm good at it. So then because I'm good at it, I only know how to work a certain amount of hardness. Where this man says, I stay hard 24/7, baby girl. And watching this man be able to overcome what people think is normal makes a lot of fucking sense and doesn't come across as a fairy tale power-up. It is still power-up. It's still Oonga Boonga action, but it's fucking good. Listen, there's going to be a lot of mouths that are going to be open and ready for this man after what they just saw. And I think we should all be included in that. That is wonderful. Now, you let me know your thoughts down below. You slap that like, share your support, subscribe, ring that bell, and you know what? Patreon is where you'll catch my full live reactions, all this and more. Also, does help fund the channel, which is why I love to give video shoutouts to those patrons, because it make these videos possible. All right, so today we got Acorn Kun, GS28, Tatsumiya Lover, Salt, Lanad, Ryan Tabor, and we also have Lone Wolf. So I appreciate the support. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.